Hello. To be politically effective as a third party, a new third party, what do you need to do? Well, here's the hard truth. It doesn't matter if all your ideas are divine poetry of grand wisdom. And it doesn't matter if you're absolutely bloody right. No one's listening. Everybody's too busy. Everybody's got better things to do. They want to watch Game of Thrones. They want to pump KFC down their face or whatever. And fundamentally, I'm no exception to that rule, and neither are you. So no one cares about anything until they're provoked. People have to be provoked to care less. They're not interested until you do something that makes them interested. And again, that applies to all of us, not just intellectuals. I mean, I look at all these economists, people who understand economics, express their great frustration with the public that they're not interested in economics. They're not interested in what's so important. And you know what? They're right. If only the public had a better grasp of the most basic way economics works, their thinking will be on the right track. The extremities of the left wouldn't survive. People just wouldn't vote for it. I mean, the left, the extreme political left, feeds off ignorance and capitalizes on it very well. But these same people who think they are Mr. Wisdoms, well, these economists, have absolutely no interest in child abuse, infantile damage. And guess what? If your economies are vast to the point where everyone gets to put food on their table and has a roof over their head and access to basic health care, economics is basically worth very little compared to the psychological damage done on a mass scale all over the place, all over New Zealand. So why aren't these wizards of wisdom, these economists, focusing their education on that issue, which is so incredibly important? The answer is because they're exactly the same fundamentally as all those people out there who don't give a damn about economics. If it's not fun, they're not going to know about it, even if it's really important. So how do we get around that problem? To open up real conversations, we've got to provoke. You've got to say things and do things. Don't try to give the whole argument the case, because no one's listening to the comprehensive. This is what I'm trying to say. You've got to provoke them to make them interested in some way. A big, brutal, vicious statement, or whatever. That's what the left does. They do it all the time. They do it very well. They get out there with their banners, with their dip, S-H-I-T ideas, and barbarically crude thinking. And guess what? Look at the media nowadays. What are we talking about? We're talking about all the left-wing ideas. We're talking about child poverty, as though it actually exists on any real serious scales. I mean, how many skeleton kids do you see in New Zealand? Bullshit. Serious poverty is a microscopic, virtually non-existent concern compared to child abuse. Yet the left have dominated the narratives. We're all talking about it. Why? Because they provoke. That's what we've got to do. We've got to provoke. So if we see a new political party coming out that's going to be effective, it needs to be coupled with an activist branch. It needs to be activist based. And just like those hate-infested, fake compassion people that call themselves the Greens, we've got to provoke in a decent and respectable way, of course. But without provocation, we won't have any of the narrative. We might have a few gurus here and there that, people like and listen to. Some really intelligent people who've got a lot to say, who have a bit of a following. But it's all just going to be a circle jerk. You're going to be preaching to the choir, which is absolutely bloody politically useless. You've got to drive out into the broad public narrative, and that means you've got to provoke, provoke, provoke. And it's not hard. It can be fun too. Don't get depressed about it. But, yeah, that's what we've got to do. The formation of a new political party absolutely must begin with ruthless, short, sharp, simple marketing, provocative marketing. Get people on the streets if it's going to work. And then with direct follow through with intelligent, accessible discussion afterwards. Thank you for listening.